sure I know where I'm at. This is going to be a modern profile neck. We're at 875 thousandths. Yep, or about 22.5 millimeters. So I've got a ways to come down there. Number 8 is still fairly coarse, so I don't want to overuse it, or I'll end up losing dimension that I need later in order to get the scratches and so on. I'm getting pretty close there, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to number 9. I like to be really picky with my mahogany, but it's getting harder and harder to get mahogany of high quality. So occasionally I end up with something like this that's a nice piece of mahogany, but it's got a little bit of what I call fuzz wood in it. Makes it a little bit harder to carve. That's one of the places where a rasp that's machine made really tends to dig in and follow the soft portions of the wood, whereas one of Knoll's does not do that. Hand stitched rasps are wonderful that way. They're sharp and controllable, and you don't end up with problems like that. It makes it much easier to deal with wood that's not maybe perfect for your carving needs. This particular piece is going to be really beautiful. Color, fairly light, but it's still nice and dense. To the 11 again quickly here. So the next really appropriate direction to go after you've been rasping is to use a card scraper In this case, one that's got some radius on it. So I'm going to use that just to go in and see about where I'm at here. In the transitions, I'm still going to want to use finer rasps, but this really cleans up any rasp marks very, very quickly. Proper card scraper, I don't usually have to go much coarser than about 180 to get started with. Sometimes I'll use 120 in transition areas. Alright, so we're perfect here. About 920 thousandths, 910 thousandths, which, for those of you who are interested, about 23 millimeters, 23.5 millimeters. And we're just a little over here still. We're 22.8 millimeters, or 865 thousandths. So actually, at this point in these transitions, I'm going to use this little sage leaf file. That's a number 13 stitch. It's a wonderful little, it has two different radius. And this is a tiny little modeler's, 150 millimeters, I believe, number 14. I'm going to use that in here, take that down a little bit. I may end up having to go back to a number 11, 200 millimeter. But at this point, I'm not particularly interested in putting a lot of additional tool marks in, so I want to see how quickly I can get down to where I want to be. I want to be about 835 thousandths. Okay, that's going a little slow. Let's see if I can take some of that down just with a cabinet scraper. With a cabinet scraper, especially on something like this where a little bit, I guess, hairy might be a good term for it. You have to scrape in a directionally, being sensitive to which direction the wood wants to be scraped in. Now as you come into here, it reverses again, so you have to come both directions. We're right there already. So then that is in millimeters. 21.6 millimeters. Alright, so got that area really nice. I can use a card scraper a little bit on this heel, but I have to use, yeah, it doesn't work real well in there in the area. So that's where the sage leaf comes in. Really, really handy. Number 13. Cleans that up very, very quickly. You have to be very careful in this area right here because you're coming at it from both directions, and then you tend to start there when you do your barrel. It's extremely easy to dig a trough along here. So that's something you want to be aware of, and you want to overlap going both directions as much as possible so that you don't always start and stop right there. Alright, I'm going to clean up this ridge just a little bit. And again, it's very directional if you're going to be scraping in this heel area. And pretty much got all on the, I'll do a water soak. I'll spray a little water on. I'll do a real light 180 sand and then put water on it, and that will allow you to see any tool marks or anything that you've still got in there, and it'll also help to reduce the amount. I spray it with a sealer after I've oxidized it of shellac, and that shellac will tend to bring up the hair, as does the oxidation, because it's mixed with water, the oxidizer. So both of those things are going to create a real hairy, I'm talking really fine little wood filaments or hairs that will lift and cause issues, because once you've oxidized it you can't really sand it. So you end up having those sticking up into your lacquer after you spray lacquer on it. So you really want to get that refined nicely before you say enough's enough and go on with your finishing. And you'll be glad you did. It's been a pleasure talking with you today. I hope you enjoyed it. And have a great day.